Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself, be true to you.
Happy Wednesday, America. Man, we have a lot to talk about today. You know what? I'm glad we don't have a guest, and we only have one clip, and it's hilarious. Two of my fave people, air quotes. But man, there's just like a lot to talk about today, and we got some old stuff to revisit. I'm going to catch up. I haven't talked about the whole Hillary email thing. This thing just, you talk about a cat having 9 lives. This thing refuses to die, and it will go nowhere. I mean, we've said this for ever since the beginning because Hillary's Hillary. She's Clinton. But the reason it does not die that liberals do not get is because shit got, sorry, you can tell I'm fired up. But hey, we're not FEC, right? Or FCC. Stuff just keeps coming out. And the last couple of days, we're going to talk about that. New revelations involving Hillary, who she talked to as Secretary of State, and also communication back and forth between the notorious Clinton Foundation and Hillary's State Department. We have that. We got to catch up on some. We used to do this all the time, Jessica, on the old show, but just nonsense in colleges. We talked a little bit about that the other day, but some more stuff there. We had some Chelsea Manning news. We have a virtual cornucopia of stuff to talk about today. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
there's been
it's
a
awesome.
lot of stuff that's happened, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on. And you know what? Speaking of going on, and, in my opulent studio, on the 3rd floor, I might add, overlooking the woods, at the other end of the studio, I have the TV on in the background. I've talked about that before, right? Trump is still speaking as we speak. I don't know. It started maybe a half hour ago. And I observed on Facebook that dude today is either on Quaaludes or he's finally listening to Paul Manafort.
He found some Quaaludes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's probably got a stash or whatever replaced Quaaludes, but he is just like the most mellow guy that I almost to the screen said, like, who are you and what have you done with Donald Trump? It's just, he's just like,
today.
it's like, huh?
I haven't seen him today.
It's damn near like he's telling a bedtime story. And, I thought, I mean, he's done this before, excuse me, where he starts out like that. But then by the end of he puts his foot in his mouth loudly and says something outrageous. But he's toned down. And he's not reading from a teleprompter, which he really sucks at. But he, given the two choices, Trump fan, I would submit to you that Donald Trump sucking reading the teleprompter is a whole bunch better than Donald Trump freestyling. So, right? So, take that for what it's worth. Jessica, speaking of the TV, about 2 hours ago, maybe, in the background, and it was really in the background because I was like deeply into writing an article. I did not, and I plan to look this up after the show, excuse me, some new study out. I love these studies that tell you stuff you already know, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're fat, eat less and you'll lose weight. Those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A brilliant conclusion from a new study, and I have to look this up later because inquiring minds want to know, but I do have verbatim because I captured it. Here's the conclusion of a brilliant new study that just came out, and this is about like various levels of intelligence, IQ and so forth, right? Are you ready for one of the conclusions?
Okay.
All right, are you sitting down because you're going to be shocked? Okay, this is verbatim, quote, people with lower IQs spend less time involved in high-level thinking.
That's funny.
I wonder how much that cost and who paid. Well, I know who paid for it.
We did.
We did, but I wonder how much that cost. I hope they came to some other conclusions as well. But people with lower IQ spend less time involved in high level thinking. So,
Well, there you
do
go.
you suppose? Huh?
There you go. It's proven now.
I mean, like, do you suppose? Do you suppose the reverse is true? People with higher IQ spend less time involved in low level thinking.
That's probable.
And the question of the day is, where does Trump fan fit in there? I'm kidding. I'm kidding because I know, I know I have, I know I have off and on at least a couple, 2, 3, whatever, Trump fans who actually like me for some reason. I do not know. I like them as well, but they listen. So you guys, should you be listening? I'm kidding. But I just like I said, I love these things that that tell you stuff you already know. And it probably costs a whole bunch of our money to tell us.
Yeah, it's like when all the other studies that we've discussed over the years. I'm like, well, really, earth-shattering news there.
Yeah. We have a Pokemon story, and I think you know what it is because you liked it on my page.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
This is pretty brilliant, is it not?
It is, but it's only for people that don't play. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, but they actually have already caught one person.
I know, but when I read the story,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, say the story first, and then we'll discuss.
Well, it's just, you cast a wide net. But the headline is, police catch a criminal by luring her with rare Pokemon. So you read the story, and I talked too much. Tell us a little bit about this story and your conclusion.
Well, the police department, I can't remember where it was, they posted
Virginia.
an ad on Facebook, and they were saying that, this rare Pokemon spawned in our police station, and because we know everybody's trying to get in to get it, we're only going to let a few select people in, and these are the random 8 names that we drew from a hat, basically, is the gist of the post.
Yeah.
And the sister of one of the people saw the post and told the lady that there's a warrant out for her arrest, and she turned herself in.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So it's you have to read the rest of the story.
Exactly. Like, it sounds a lot funnier than it is. It was definitely clickbaity. But
Well, damn it, because this is on BuzzFeed, and far be it from BuzzFeed to be clickbaity. I mean,
Exactly.
BuzzFeed, it's one of the big guys, but they typically do, and I'm going to use the word I used at the beginning again, but BuzzFeed. And again, BuzzFeed News is a fairly well-respected site. In fact, it's a respected site. But their typical headlines have been like 47 things you don't know about, 16 things you don't give a shit about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they do. But okay, see, I wanted this to be much more.
Well, the thing is, I think it could have been.
It could be. And now they've blown it.
Well, that's the thing. Had they actually done like 10 seconds of research, they could have actually made a much more believable posting about it. Because I played the game. So it's like, as soon as I started reading it, I was like, first of all, that's not Diglett. Secondly, like, there's this problem.
Well, that little star looking thing, that
Yeah,
purple.
that is not that character.
Who is that character?
I have no idea. I actually don't know the Pokemon.
Is that a real one or a made up one?
I couldn't tell you because I actually was never into Pokemon. The only reason I know that the thing that they were talking about isn't one is because I've caught that one. It doesn't look like that. So it doesn't look like that. And then like, the whole like, we're going to only let these people in. I was like, well, as long as you're near the area, it will spawn for you. So it's like, that's not how the game works. Yeah.
You know what? At least it would have been cool. I mean, if the story would have been like, so they put out this, whatever, what they do, post it on Facebook?
Yes.
Or if they'd have put it out and said that there's, one in our parking lot or whatever, and then when people come in, they kind of check
Well,
IDs and stuff and look for people, and one of them would.
exactly.
Okay, so
Well,
damn.
the other thing was also spawns only last about like 10 minutes, so you really
Okay,
don't have.
explain. I think I know what you're talking about as it relates to
Well, the
spawns, but to
characters
explain the whole thing.
they pop up and in random places. So, but once they pop up, they only last about like 10 minutes or so before they disappear. So you have that amount of time to actually catch it. Um, and
Is
then
that per individual or for anyone?
for anyone, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
so
things tend to if there's a large group of people looking in a certain area, like there's a park near my house where there's tons of people all the time, and like rarer Pokemon spawn where there's more people looking. But other than that, it's pretty standard that and they're still only around for like 10 minutes or so.
so I remember one story in particular. Like I want to say I know it's a pizza joint, and I want to say it's in New York City, and their business is booming as a result. But how is it determined where they pop up?
It's random. Well, I just found this out yesterday,
I mean,
actually.
does a program do it, or are there people that say, "Look, we got to put one in this pizza parlor"?
Well, there's two things. Businesses can pay to have Pokestops
Oh, say that.
and
Yeah,
gyms
I guessed that, but
and
yeah.
and gyms in their locations. So that was the other thing. I was saying the police station, if they would have thought about it like for 10 seconds, they could have spent the whatever it is to have a gym or a Pokestop in their place, do the check ID thing, and bam,
See, well,
lost
they
your
should have
upload.
asked us.
Yeah. So then but the other ones, like there's all a bunch of churches. Actually, there's a comedian that's like he made a joke that basically he didn't realize how many stealth churches there were in his city until he started playing this game because there's like a church every like few blocks because they basically use Google Maps and any kind of little
Yeah,
landmark
that's
looking
what I.
things. Yeah, landmark looking things or churches and stuff automatically have stops.
Huh.
And apparently they had a game that wasn't Pokemon, but it was very similar to this that they did back for the purpose of getting people to exercise. And they kind of and people submitted things that were like, oh, this looks cool. And so when they kind of used that infrastructure as the basis for Pokemon Go. And so a lot of these stops were made from that game before.
So how many times have you played this?
I started 2 weeks ago.
In other words, you've been playing it ever since.
Yeah, I mean it's
It's
kind of
it's
one of
like
those things.
cocaine, isn't it?
It is when you're like in the area, like right now, like I'll put it on to see if there's anything that spawns by my house, but it's like okay, nothing's here. Okay, bye. Like it's not a game that you play like consistently. It's just a
You
casual
check in and
thing.
check out.
Yeah, basically.
Didn't some guy recently get shot and killed playing this thing?
Yeah, they don't know if it was related to that.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
was playing. Yeah, he got shot like in the head. He was playing the game at the time, but it was such a weird thing. They're still investigating like
It could
what
be
happened.
happenstance.
Yeah.
I also read, and I actually didn't read it. I saw the headline. Some business or whatever is either trading or accepting. You can buy stuff right on Pokemon Go,
Yes,
and
there's
they're using that as a currency.
really
Yeah,
that's interesting.
it's crazy. There's got to be spin-offs from people down the road.
Oh yeah,
Company
I think so.
or yeah, the people, yeah, kind of like Samsung did to iPhone type of thing. But
Well, Samsung actually created a lot of the parts for the iPhone, even though they came out after.
no, I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of which, and I know you guys, this is completely riveting radio right now, but the all right. So my wife has the 6 Plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still have a 5S, and it was all I could do not to get the 6 Plus. But
I'm
I
surprised you didn't. Yeah.
no, I've had the discipline because within a month, 6 weeks, or whatever, I will get the 7 Plus.
Oh, okay.
I kept and I am kind of a instant gratification kind of guy, shall we say? But I just thought, no, if I do it, I'm gonna regret it because 3 months from now, 2 months from now, whatever, I can get the brand new one. So that's what I'm going to do.
I'm excited because I'm getting the Note 7 in 2 weeks when it comes out, or the 19th.
Now
so 9 days.
So I'm pretty fired up about it. Yeah, I'm a Apple geek. I want to hit this this. Well, I don't even know if I should say what it. Yeah, I will. This clip I sent you. I don't watch Morning Joe. I don't watch anything on MSNBC. Although, you know what? I did. Late last week, I was flipping through the channels and inadvertently came across Chris Throw Out My Leg Matthews hardball show. And he was actually pretty good. And I guess maybe because, I have gone through the whole Fox News detox thing, otherwise known as Trump News Network. But Matthews was kind of somewhat even keel. But anyway, I don't watch anything on. I will watch CNN, and I've said before on the show I watch One American News Network. But so Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski, Morning Joe Scarborough used to be congressman. I have posted on Independent Journal Review multiple through the last couple of years at least, clips from their show because. Someone would be on there saying something stupid, or one of them will. But man, they got into a bit of a snit this morning, and it's just hilarious. And so I just, for no other reason than I just got a kick out of it because Mika's a Democrat. Although Mika's, in her defense, Mika is a moderate Democrat because there are times that, yeah, and Joe Scarborough is a sometimes Republican. Right? He would be what a lot of people call a rhino. A lot of people, by the way, call people rhinos who aren't rhinos. As an example, I have been called a rhino more times than I can remember, and simply by Trump people because I don't support Trump. And I used to laugh out loud the first couple of times because people who supported Ted Cruz or any other conservative who don't support Donald Trump, to call them a rhino is laughable because anything but. But anyway, I digress. Let's listen to Mika and Joe locking horns this morning. Take a listen.
Everybody, just stop. He can't stop. This is proven again and again and again and again. He can't stop himself. He is a train wreck going 1,000 miles an hour. It is about the Republicans around him now. The story is about you. And I don't mean to have a nasty tone when I say to Paul Ryan, go home and spend some time with your family.
You're a Democrat. Let me say this, okay? Because it means nothing coming from you, okay? You're a Democrat.
Excuse me?
It means nothing coming from a Democrat to these Republicans.
Well, actually, the Democrats are going to win the election. So if you want to actually have a flying chance, you're going to have to do something that makes sense.
Let me say this to my Republican Party. You are letting Donald Trump destroy the party, and you've done it from the beginning. We've said from the very beginning when he started blowing himself up, when Paul Ryan endorsed him, that it's only going to get worse. And it just keeps getting worse, doesn't it?
And when I say go home and spend time with your family, I mean look at your children in the eyes. Look at your wife in the eyes and really ask if you are doing the right thing, because you were doing the wrong thing by supporting this candidate. You were doing the wrong thing 10 times over. You're hurting this country for your political benefit, and you're making the wrong play even in terms of your political benefit. And I'm sorry that I'm a Democrat and it means nothing coming from me, but I'm telling you that's how this story ends. And someone's going to get hurt.
At me here.
I am.
You're mad
that's
at me?
Fine. A little bit, yeah.
I was making a point that they're just going to say, oh, you're a Democrat.
Okay, well, good. When I turn out to be right, like I have been every step of the way, you all can enjoy saying it means nothing coming from me. We end this block.
No. You're not going to do that. I was simply making the point that they're listening to you, and a lot of them might be saying, oh, she's just a Democrat. So I was going to say, as a Republican, I agree with your sentiment. Let me say it. I think you've made your point, and I think I've made my point.
Okay.
So I wasn't cutting you off, and I wasn't saying, I'm just saying a lot of Republicans out there would say, oh, she's a Democrat. So what does it mean? In fact, we've had people say that to your face. What do you expect? Michael still says that. What do you expect, Mika, for us to just go home?
I just can't believe where we're at right now.
Well, I can't either. So I agree with you. I mean, let's unite and not divide.
Before
I'm sort of George W. Bush that way.
Before we go for
Boom.
That was hilarious.
The fangs came out, did they not?
Yeah, she was like, what's funny is that, oh, you're just a Democrat was like such an insult to her. Like,
Oh, she was. I mean, it was implied, and almost playing like the woman card, right? Like I don't matter, and you tell me, and maybe not. Scratch that. It doesn't make any difference. But man, and they and again, I don't watch a show, but I've watched clips along the way. They tangle a little bit here and there on issues, but there more times than not, at least in the clips I've seen, they tend to almost agree more than and maybe that's not a fair assessment because I don't watch a whole show, but I've never seen anything like this from them.
yeah,
And
that's funny.
as
That was
this
funny.
as she said, is this where? Well, I'm going to say it grammatically correctly, and it surprises me that as an on-air journalist, she did not. But she said it surprises me where we are, although she said it surprises me where we're at. But the whole country is at there, Mika. Is it not, Jessica?
It is. It's very interesting.
I mean, so, I see multiple people on Facebook. I just unfriended another family member, and it's Hatfields and McCoys. I mean, it's really virulent and it's really charged and polarized out there.
It's pretty ridiculous. It's so crazy.
And I'm not real sure. I've not really sat down and thought completely through it. Why it's like it is right now. I mean, I have this kind of theory, and I've had it before it got this bad, but this whole thing, this whole really bitter division started, at least the seeds of it lie in the Bush-Gore election thing. Because, right, that big fight goes to the Supreme Court. Gore people, really crying foul. Gore won the popular vote. Bush won the electoral vote in the end. Every time. I mean, I think it started there, and I think it was really exacerbated at the beginning of the Obama presidency. And I think Trump pushed it over the top. And Hillary. I mean, there could not be more polar opposites. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I don't think. I think this probably started being like more of like the whack chop Democrats with the Bush Gore thing. I think that's when that started happening a lot more. I feel like those people always existed, but it just
sure they have.
The
the fringe. Let's be honest, and let's be fair. The fringe has existed on both ends of the field, right?
Yes.
But they have not nearly been as vocal in numbers as they are now, and they've not nearly been as publicized as they are now. And I think that what we have, there used to be a time when, when respectable people in both parties discounted their respective fringes. That used to be here. That used to be reality. And I think to an extent now they've kind of bonded together, or at least you have, again, in some instances, you have kind of mainstream people almost kind of using their fringes. It's an ugly situation.
Well, it is. And the thing is, I think that a lot of it is also that more people are actually informed now, I think, of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think also, like when on the Republican side where it started getting really like brutal was where they with the Obamacare and the
Yes, that part's
they
true.
deemed
That
it
part-
passed, and then these people were still angry, but they were like, okay, we'll go along with this because you guys are gonna take over and start doing stuff, and then Congress did nothing. And they did that for 3 elections because they did,
and you've heard me talk about that ad infinitum about the complete disillusionment with so-called conservatives like John Boehner and Mitch McConnell and the whole bit. I don't know, this whole like more informed thing right now. I'm gonna look from Trump fan to Hillary supporter. I think if you set and again, a quick example, and I'm not picking on Trump, but it just popped into my brain. Trump famously and repeatedly, I'm going to bring jobs back from China, right, and Mexico and Japan and wherever else. And his fans cheer wildly. And I've done this on multiple occasions, ask a Trump supporter, can you please explain to me how Donald Trump is going to force, coerce, or convince, you picked the verb, convince Apple to manufacture iPhones in the United States. They can't, and Trump can't either. And if somehow he forced them at gunpoint to do so, we talked earlier about Samsung and Apple. I don't know how long it would take for Apple to either go out of business or quit selling iPhones, but it would have to at some point because it would not be able to compete in the world markets, let alone in this country. Well, and I think conversely, you ask, Hillary. We're going to talk about this the second half, but Hillary is going to create, I forget what it is, 110 million jobs or whatever.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. Right. And I have some statistics that we'll talk about in the second half about, these promises about 200,000 jobs she made when she was running for the Senate in New York, 200,000 jobs for upstate New York, and how that all went. So I would kind of push back and say that the majority of people who vote for either party, and this cycle, Hillary and or the Donald, I think the majority are woefully uninformed, and even worse, don't care. They don't care.
There's a difference between being uninformed and being and setting yourself up in an echo chamber.
That part's true as well.
Because what I meant by informed is that there is more news, there is more information getting out about what people say.
Oh, no, you're
hear
exactly
sound
right.
bites. You can hear, like, if you go back to just the 2000 election, you didn't have the level of coverage. You didn't have, the internet wasn't this strong as it is now. You can look up anything you want and you can hear it.
You're right.
So that's what I meant by more informed. Now, whether these people choose to actually...
There's the opportunity to be more informed.
Yes. There's more opportunity, and there's things that get out. There's tons of things that get out. Whether they pay
attention to it and think about it is a whole different issue.
Well, even if they pay attention to it, if they're picking and choosing what they want to hear, that's a different story.
Well,
too.
I meant kind of objectively. Yeah. To that point, I mean, Rush Limbaugh gets skewered, has been for years by the left. And he coined the term, I believe, at least he made it part of the lexicon, low information voter. People who don't take the time to actually listen to and or check into what he means assume that it's condescending and he means stupid. And that is not what he means. It speaks to what you and I are talking about. And there are people who are low information on purpose. There are purposeful low information people because, to your point, the echo chamber, I'm only going to listen to the stuff that supports what I think, and I'm going to discount. And
if you don't listen to me, I'm going to throw a tantrum, unfriend you, and take my toys.
And I don't care if you're my mother.
Yeah, exactly, which is ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous.
Completely childish.
But it's worse than it's ever been.
Yeah,
it's worse.
But that's what I was trying to finish my point there was that I think after 3 elections of Republican people feeling completely disenfranchised by the people that they told them, if you hold your nose and vote for me, it'll get better. That this is really Donald Trump is their, F you guys, and I think it's working.
You know what? That was so good. For a change, you take us out.
Okay, we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself, be true to you. The devil is...
Doug, I never thought I could go back to school, but when it's this easy, it fits.
I'm right there with you, Jackie, taking classes, watching lectures in the living room on the iPad. It's not hard.
I can be a mom, make dinner, get my classwork done, and not miss a moment with my family. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Jackie Velasquez, and if Doug and I can do this, you can do this too. Higher education with Liberty University Online.
Find out more about completing your college degree at the world's largest Christian university, Liberty University. Get all the details right now. Grab your cell and dial pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword Liberty University.
Training champions for Christ since 1971, Liberty University Online. Find out more about learning online. Dial pound 250, then say the keyword Liberty University.
Liberty University Online with hundreds of degree programs to choose from. Call now, pound 250. Say the keyword Liberty University.
That's pound 250, say keyword Liberty University.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Welcome back, folks. Jessica and I continued our spirited discussion about the polarization of this country during the break. But just to kind of wrap that up, I don't know, you guys, Jessica, the New York Post versus the Daily News, right? A couple of rags in New York City. I mean, they're both famous for, if nothing else, and probably nothing else, they're like sensational, over the top, in your face front pages. And I just ran in two different places this morning as I was kind of looking around for stuff that might grab my interest to write about. Yesterday's or today's, I cannot determine because I have shrunk these things to the point to where I can't read the date. But I put these up on Facebook way earlier today, and I said the state of politics in America today. And then I said, remember, the media only sells what people buy. But so the headline, I mean, just it's beyond headline. I mean, these things are just like tabloids. New York Post, Hill sells U.S. out. State Department favors for Clinton cash. We're going to talk about that. So they're all over Hillary, right? And then the Daily News, this isn't a joke anymore. When Trump hinted gun rights supporters shoot Hillary, which is actually what we're going to talk about next, he went from offensive to reckless. He must end his campaign. If he doesn't, the GOP needs to abandon him. That right there, those two headlines are a microcosm of exactly what you and I have been talking about.
Oh, exactly.
So Dan Joseph was the first guy to jump on that and like it, by the way. All right, so the kind of complete panties in a wad thing from the Daily News about what Trump said. Have you been paying attention to this thing at all?
Yes, the Second Amendment.
It's just completely out of control.
It's ridiculous. Well, that's the thing. I think it's just the media trying to get away from the fact that my friend's killer's dad was in the back row of her while she's speaking about
Yeah,
us.
we got that too. But so this whole thing, and it's generally referred to in respectable media, his Second Amendment quote, right? And look, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. We know that. He opens his mouth to change feet most of the time. But so he's talking about Hillary winning in the Supreme Court. I mean, we've talked about that multiple times. There are many people that I've spoken to and who have commented various places that I opine that they don't care a whole lot about Donald Trump, but they care less about putting Hillary in a position to pick Supreme Court justices. I mean, so that's not kind of out there. Here's what Trump said, verbatim. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. That's what he said.
Yes.
Now, if you didn't know anything about all of the nonsense, how would you interpret that?
I just would interpret that as the Second Amendment people could do something about it.
Like something like what?
I don't know. Challenge things. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like the NRA kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And if you look up Trump apologist in the dictionary, you will not see my picture there, right?
Yeah.
But me too. In fact, I heard him because again, I have this stuff on in the background when I'm working. In fact, I think I went in there because if something gets my attention. This was not it, but I go in there and I look for a while. I think I watched him say this, and to me, it was okay. You rile up the Second Amendment people, the kind of as what did Obama call them? He did this on. He did not know there was an open mic. This is when he was running the first time, San Francisco somewhere. Remember the whole Bible clutching, gun clutching thing he said?
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
The left fears these people. These people being middle America, right? People with conservative values and stuff. That's how I took it. That, look, if this happens, then maybe, let's say come 2020, that there'll be hell to pay from these people because of what you just did. But the left, again, man, like we were talking, I mean, all of a sudden, this is not indirect. Some of them have actually come out and said a direct threat by Donald Trump that Hillary Clinton should be assassinated.
Yeah, but I also, well, that's the whole, I've heard
This
that,
is like
and it's
nuts.
so ridiculous. It's the same thing as, oh yeah, he totally told Russia to spy on Hillary.
It's
is so ridiculous.
Now, again, I mean, one probably, well, I don't even wonder. I mean, how many of the people out there not in the know, well, whatever, that their voices are being heard, they're on television, they do blogging, they're a columnist somewhere that are writing this complete and utter nonsense about Trump suggested that Hillary Clinton be assassinated. How many of them actually really honestly, when they're in a room by themselves, believe that's what he meant? I would submit not very many of them.
Well, exactly.
Unless they're completely, intoxicated by the Kool-Aid of the left to where their prism, their filter is so bent that they actually believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, other than that, I think it's all bull crap. I mean, I just actually do.
It is. It's ridiculous. Nobody actually believes that, I don't think.
Well,
right.
This Drexel law professor does.
Well, yeah.
Or not. Well, I think he does, because that whole cocoon of academia, which I pretty much loathe, he called Trump's, again, Second Amendment comment. Do you know what he referred to it as?
What did he recommend? What did he do?
Terrorism.
Okay.
Yeah, that was terrorism.
All right, then.
This from the from the crowd who will not call. Well, we've gotten them to the point, or they've gotten themselves to the point because they looked ridiculous when they weren't there yet, to call anything that happens in this country terrorism. Remember? I mean, that they didn't want to use the T word. I mean, Obama, right? Fort Hood shooter, workplace violence, for forever, exactly. And then that was finally changed. But at the drop of a hat, the left. This is terrorism. Law professor at Drexel University called Donald Trump's reference to, quote, Second Amendment people a form of terrorism, comparing it to violence against abortion providers by Christianist Republicans, Jessica. Christianist Republicans, you Christianist.
I have never heard that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
David S. Cohen, who teaches a mandatory constitutional law class, who knew? Here's another example of one of these jackasses having captive kids who are there to learn about law spew their crap. Right? I mean, exactly. This comes out all the time. I mean, it comes out in high schools. It comes out in colleges where a kid's got his iPhone video going. But this is that kind of deal. Anyway, mandatory constitutional law class for students acquiring a JD at Drexel's, whatever, writes in an op-ed for Rolling Stone, who knew,
Rolling Stone, huh? Oh
yeah, Rolling Stone, that bastion of objective journalism. Rolling Stone on Tuesday that Trump's comment implying that Second Amendment supporters could do more than vote to prevent Hillary from picking Supreme Court justices was a form of terrorism. He did not, by the way, even come close to saying prevent her from doing it. It could have been after the fact. But let's scroll down and just see if we care. I can grab a quote from him. This is on campus reform. I told you before, you guys, you need to go there. Yeah, he's just a little one. What do you say? Okay, though most of the people hearing that while most of the people hearing that call may claim he was joking, given what we know about people taking up arms in this country, there will undoubtedly be some people who think he was serious and consider the possibility.
That's ridiculous.
Wonder what does he know about, quote, people taking up arms in this country that I don't?
Exactly. I mean, the only people that would even consider this as a true thing are already crazy. Are they? You know?
Yeah, but they're still fun to talk about because this is who these people are. Let's do one more because this is about that abortion clinic shooting. Remember that?
Yeah.
Colorado Springs. Was the shooting exactly what conservative Christian presidential candidates and members of he just got two of them in there, didn't he? Conservative and Christian. It could not get any worse. Was the shooting exactly what conservative Christian presidential candidates and members of Congress wanted? Maybe, maybe not. But these people just slay me, as they used to say.
It's so over the top, and it's interesting. Like, actually, as growing up, when I was in school and hearing things like this, it was always so over the top that I didn't take it seriously, so I didn't think anybody else took it seriously. And then when I was actually in the real world and hearing people and them actually believing this crap that people spew, I was like, for real, this is a thing? This is something that it actually works? Okay, then.
See, and the thing is, and to get to your point, I mean, back in the day, whenever the day was, the day is a different day for depending on how old one is. But like we used the word fringe before, like guys like this and far right guys like Alex Jones, frankly, and beyond even him, would have been discounted by everyone, generally both parties, as like kooks, right? These people are just like out there. Let's humor them. But this would not make it into Rolling Stone, as left-wing as it is, as an op-ed, if Rolling Stone did not, as I said earlier, the media puts out only what people buy. If Rolling Stone didn't think there was a large enough audience to listen to this and actually think, yeah, that's exactly true.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, and again, Alex Jones would not be Alex Jones if there weren't more than a few conspiratorialists who believe the crap that he says. By the way, one of our guys, one of IJR's guys, down in Rio for the Olympics.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I put up a bunch of pictures this morning. One of them was him and a couple other guys and one gal. I hate it when people say gal. I think that's kind of whatever. But they're all kind of arm in arm. There's like 5 of them, and they're on the beach. They're on Copacabana Beach, and Alex Jones is in the middle of the picture.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
It cracked me up. I thought, guys, come on. I mean, are we better than that? I don't know. So Alex is apparently making some money. I don't know.
Well, he is. I mean, he wouldn't keep having that. He wouldn't be able to keep having that site if it wasn't,
Yeah, and again, one of the themes of today is that people, they can't continue to do what they do, particularly for money, if they don't have an audience that buys it. So,
I mean, I didn't think people bought it, but then I met someone who does. So,
yeah, me too. Well, I didn't meet him, but this. I want to kind of close the loop on this because I think you mentioned it earlier in the first half hour. But this whole thing about the Orlando shooter's dad being at Hillary's rally. I think it was in Kissimmee, right? Is that how you pronounce it, Kissimmee?
It was actually, I was thinking about going there because it's pretty much less than a mile from where I live.
Really?
Yeah.
You should have gone. Is that proper? Kissimmee?
Kissimmee, yeah.
Kissimmee?
No, it's Kissimmee. Yeah.
Well, see, I've always said it Kissimmee.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
But I heard somebody on TV call it Kissimmee. So
they don't know how to say.
Which to me sounds like an Italian asking,
Kissimmee.
Kissimmee.
Yes, I've heard that all the time. I grew up hearing that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's Kissimmee.
Yeah.
Anyway, good, because that's the way I've always said it. So, the Hillary campaign comes out. The Florida Democratic Party comes out. It's just like it's an open rally. And we screen everybody equally, and he that's how he got here. All right, even if you buy that, and I buy that part. Okay, I mean I buy that part that you don't pack the entire audience with your people. I mean, obviously, that can be proved by just looking at a Trump rally where there's a bunch of people in there giving him crap, right?
Exactly.
But what is also complete crap, is the fact that people that sit behind a presidential candidate, a president, a whatever politician, given a speech with television cameras in front of them, that is a random crowd because it was an open rally. Anybody that believes that is completely full of crap.
It's true. And also, I was here, so I know. They opened the doors at 4 p.m. to start screening people, and there was tons and tons of people there trying to get in, and not everybody got in. So, I mean, most of them got in that wanted to.
Sure.
Because actually, that was the other interesting part, that she had it in Kissimmee at the Silver Spurs Arena, which is much smaller than the UCF Arena where Trump was.
Well, and that's happened throughout the campaign across the country. That's exactly right. And the cameras, kind of pan in around Hillary. In fact, there are some awesome side-by-side images. In fact, I saw some of them this morning out there that show, Trump crowds and Hillary crowds. And yeah, to your point, that's exactly true. But again, there is a difference between getting in, regardless of the size of the venue, and being allowed to sit behind the candidate and be on television. That anybody, again, that believes that part is random as well, even if you're screened, that those people out there are not handpicked or really screened is either naive or being disingenuous for
well,
political
that was
purposes.
the point that I was making. Is
Yeah.
that they were looking for groups of people, in that whole process. Like they were like, okay, you go to this line, you go this way. Like that was happening. So you can't say that didn't happen.
And speaking of
And
which,
I'm glad I didn't go because I really didn't need to know that I was in the same room with that man.
no kidding.
Yeah.
She is kind of like semi memorializing these people. At least she's talking about it, right? And the guy's dad, the dad of the shooter, Sadiq, I think is his name, right? Mateen, is sitting right behind her. Not behind her off to the side, right? Right. Like directly over her left shoulder in what appears to be maybe the third row. So you have all these, the Clinton campaign came out, and of course they denied it. Now, to Hillary's credit, and she had to do this, I'm sure she did not necessarily want to, but she has disavowed his endorsement of her, which he has wholeheartedly given.
Well, she needed to because
she has to.
I'm still waiting for the Trump ad to air that, because if that's not a resounding endorsement for Trump, I don't know what is.
Well, and the left goes crazy when David Duke or if it were a Pat Robertson even, or any right wing group supports Trump. Can you just imagine if the father? Remember Timothy McVeigh, right?
McVeigh.
By the way, he was executed in Indiana here at a federal prison. But can you imagine if Timothy McVeigh's father was sitting right behind Trump at a rally and then came out and endorsed him? How nuts the left would go.
Oh, totally. That's the thing. And that's why I think that they're making such a big deal. Like I said earlier, I think that's why they're making such a big deal about Trump's Second Amendment faux pas, if you want to call it that.
To try to get it off this, yeah.
Yeah, because I have stopped hearing about that. And the thing is, I'm not going to forget that, but other people probably do.
Yeah, well, I think we're at the point also where it doesn't make any difference anymore. Either one of these people could hunt the other one down and set them on fire, and I don't think it would change much in terms of support. But by the way, just quickly, because it'll move on, you have both the Hillary camp and the Florida, as I started to say earlier, the Florida Democratic Party coming out and saying, the whole random thing and the whole bit. The story's out today. I think it's today. This is on my friend Zip's, Weasel Zipper's site, but pro-Taliban father of Orlando terrorist said he was, quote, invited by the Democratic Party to sit behind Hillary Clinton at rally. And if you don't believe that, then you're even stupider than maybe, whatever. So, all right. Hillary, I alluded to this earlier. It wasn't 110, it was 10 million. And my headline yesterday was, the next time Hillary brags that she'll create 10 million jobs, remember how she did as a senator from New York. Again, this is stuff people don't know or don't care about. Let me just read the first paragraph I wrote. As a presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton has promised to make job creation the cornerstone of her presidency. She did the same while running for the Senate in New York in 2000, promising 200,000 jobs upstate. End of paragraph. And then I always do my signature things, kind of do like a one-line thing, and then I go on. And I said she missed that promise by a New York mile. It didn't come anywhere near happening. In fact, and I linked to a couple of different articles in here, but the prominent one is Washington Post. Again, I'm going to read me. But as reported by the Washington Post, manufacturing jobs declined by nearly 25% during her tenure. Moreover, 8 years after she left the Senate to become Secretary of State, things did not look much better. And I do a block quote from WAPO, which reads, nearly 8 years after Clinton's Senate exit, there is little evidence that her economic development programs had a substantial impact on upstate employment. Despite Clinton's efforts, upstate job growth stagnated overall during her entire tenure. So now you have all these people, Jessica, buying into, Hillary, she's going to create all these jobs, and it's just, what have you done? You're telling us what you're going to do. And you ask this of any candidate, Republican or Democrat, you're telling us what you're going to do. What have you done?
there's that, and I don't understand the people that believe in anybody saying we're gonna do we're gonna create a job, we're gonna do
Well,
this.
first of all, the
Nobody
government
does
does
that.
not create jobs, as you and I have
Exactly.
talked before.
So that it's just interesting to me. But someone who's already made these promises and failed miserably at them, I don't know how this, how it keeps being a great talking point for them. I don't know.
I mean, if you took just like a Martian came here, and you showed them, forget Trump, but okay, here is or someone from Lithuania, it didn't make any difference, that knows nothing about, doesn't know who Hillary Clinton is, right? Or the Democrats, and you show them the last 8 years of which she was a part, and where we are now in terms of stagnant job growth, in terms of 1% plus GDP, in terms of more people no longer in the workforce in this country, upwards of 94 million. Think about that. This country is 330 million? Just on down the line. And you have someone that was actually part of that cabinet, let alone not of the same beliefs and in that party, now out here 8 years later promising to fix things. Wouldn't they laugh at you?
Exactly. That's the thing. I don't know. I just don't get it.
She's elected in 2000, right? She's inaugurated, I think, early 2001, probably January. She drops 7 job bills in the Senate, right? She proposes 7 job bills, part of a larger partnership to spur job creation across the country, as she called it, but she was still linking it to this promise of 200,000 jobs in upstate New York. She went 0 for 7 on those bills. None of them were voted through. So what does she do? She does what liberals do. She turns to small-scale stuff, to block grants and that kind of thing. And I just have to say this, and this is kind of small fish or whatever, but it's just is a perfect example of the hypocrisy of this woman. One of those projects, Jessica, is called Art Space, which in and of itself sounds kind of like a cool idea. I mean, it's fine, but it's an organization dedicated to housing, apartment complexes, to create affordable housing for artists. All right? I mean, that in and of itself, I mean, that I guess is not although why single out artists? That's a different argument. But this is one of the things that, because she always grasps, I could never say that, at straws when people ask her about her accomplishments, right, as a senator and a Secretary of State, the Secretary of State. But she points this out, this art space thing, which is, and I just have to read this because it just cracks me up. This guy's, doesn't matter his name, Nicholas Langworthy, he's Republican chairman in upstate New York. He calls it laughable. He says, to have someone running for president of the United States bragging about an art space apartment building in Buffalo is laughable. That's a project a city council member or a small city mayor would champion, not a U.S. senator, let alone a presidential candidate. So
that's so true. I was just thinking that. I was like, wow, this sounds like a city mayoral race or something.
Yeah, you talk about playing small ball. And then this longtime senior Hillary aide came back and say the Buffalo Project was, quote, a symbol that she was going to be helping everybody, no matter how big or small. And that is exactly the whole thing. There's a saying's been around for years and years and years. This one I linked to Forbes, but symbolism over substance. We know people who claim that that's their deal, but it's not their deal. It's been around for a long time. But this is exactly what Democrats are. This is exactly what liberalism is. It's symbolism over substance. It sounds good. And this is what they do. Yet this woman is more likely than not just going to be the next president of the United States.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
We would go, and I know we're under a minute, but that would be, we would go 0 for 2 in an 8-year period, in a 4-year period. 2012, there's no way a Republican should have lost to Barack Obama with what was going on. And ditto this time. Anybody on the planet could have probably done better. And that's hyperbolic, but that's who I am and what I do. Anyway, you guys, thanks for listening. And we will be back Friday. And please come back and tell your friends and share and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for listening.
I think it's time to get away.